Hello and welcome to Property Money Trees Maximising Property Values, the once a month show where I break down the steps of how to recognise, enhance, and then extract the values in property in order to create wealth. Would you like to find out how you can benefit from the steps of maximising property values? This is even if you don't own a property yet or have a deposit. If that's a yes, then you're in the right place to find out. My name is Patricia Faber, and although many know me for my work as a solicitor, on this show you will be getting the benefit of my 30 plus years worth of experience of maximising property values, experience which has given me a net worth in millions. So who might benefit from listening to this show? Literally anyone with an interest in creating property wealth. So welcome back. We're now on the enhanced part of the maximising property values journey, the really exciting part, the fun part. And I've received a couple of requests from people asking me to look at their floor plans, tell them, advise them how they can actually maximise the values in their properties. So I may well be choosing some of those to talk about going forward. Last month, I spoke about the really small studio flat that I transformed into a one-bedroom flat. So the footprint remained exactly the same, but the value in that flat was enhanced significantly. This month, I am choosing not a business transaction like the studio flat of last month, but someone's home. So this is, they still live there, but for me, I guess it was, a 3-bedroom maisonette in a really nice part of London. So it had 3 bedrooms, it had 1 bathroom, it had an ensuite bathroom, it had a kind of really narrow lounge, and it had a kitchen which was really not very attractive in terms of its layout, and a cloakroom as well. So I was asked to come in and advise them on what they might be able to do to enhance the values in the property. They were wanting to refurbish it anyway because it was a bit tired, and wanted to seize the opportunity of the refurb to maybe look at whether or not they were maximising the space that they had and whether or not they could improve on its valuation. So that's where I was invited in. And as soon as they showed me around, I immediately got a picture in my head as to how we could maximise the value in that maisonette. Shared it with them and they were completely on board and said, yep, go ahead, go for it. But because it was more than an hour and a bit away from where I live, I didn't want to take that project on myself. So I told them that I'd find them a contractor who would do the works, but I would keep an eye on the design side of things just to make sure that all the plans that we'd spoken about would be implemented. Anyway, that's a story for another day, because the contractor let me down a bit, and I had to step in at the end and make sure that the project was finished. But it was finished and they are absolutely delighted. So anyway, so this was a 3-bedroom maisonette, like I said. So what I was able to advise them on was to change the layouts such that they then were able to get 4 bedrooms, each with its ensuite bathroom upstairs. So the 3 bedrooms, the 1 bathroom and the 1 ensuite then became 4 bedrooms, each with an ensuite. So 4 bedrooms and 4 ensuites. And then downstairs they had this really narrow lounge and a a narrow walkway up to it. So again, I advised them to open all of that up, and now they have an absolutely gorgeous lounge. It's just so beautiful. Now their kitchen as well, it was really horrible. It was just not very functional. Two people could not stand in that kitchen side by side. It was narrow, it was cramped, it was ugh. Anyway, so I advised them to open that up as well, not too open plan because they didn't actually want that, but we opened it up to the back, moved the cloakroom away from where it was, moved that somewhere else, and the kitchen now is just glorious. It's filled with light, it's quite spacious. You could have like 4 people standing side by side in the same kitchen, so we didn't do any extensions, same footprint, and we were able to kind of like open things up so much that the whole maisonette has been completely transformed. They still have a cloakroom. The cloakroom was small when I walked in. It's still small now, but it looks so much nicer because obviously it's been updated as part of the refurbishment, and that maisonette has just been completely transformed. The value of the maisonette when I went in there, because I use an automatic valuation model which you can get on propertydata.co.uk. The offer that Property Data made to subscribers has now expired. So if you want to use Property Data, you will have to go to Property Data itself and sign up. But their service is just something that I really could not do without. It has transformed the way that I look at property, the way that I evaluate deals, the way that I kind of like make decisions on what I'm doing, how much to spend, whether or not my plans are going to enhance the values, and so on. So on Property Data, this maisonette was worth, I think it was about 740,000 odd pounds. The refurb cost about 120,000. So that brought their base cost up to 800 and something. But it's now worth more than £1 million. So by doing what I went in to do, I was able to create a paper profit for them in excess of 6 figures. Absolutely amazing. If I can just kind of like talk in a little bit more detail about the reasons behind what was done. So this particular flat is on the Hackney Islington borders in London. It's a very kind of like posh area in London. So it was obvious from the outset that a cheap refurb was not going to hack it. It had to be a very sort of like high quality refurb, and it had to be done tastefully, kind of like bearing in mind what the property was. It was a good thing that the property was already a maisonette, so it was already quite kind of like modern, and we didn't have to kind of like stick with, you know, the traditional aspect of the building, because that had already been departed from and they didn't want to go back to it. In opening up the front room, the dividing wall between the lounge and the kind of like corridor leading to the lounge was removed, and then the whole of the lounge was tiled with water underfloor heating. So they've got water underfloor heating, all of the ground floor, which is fully tiled. So that's the lounge, the cloakroom and the kitchen, and all of that was tiled in the same tile, and it was a 1200 by 1200 absolutely gorgeous grey tile with tile like upstands, stroke skirtings, and then a black trim on top of that. Honestly, really, really gorgeous. There are some photographs on the examples page at www.propertymoneytree.co.uk/examples, so you can see some of the photographs of this particular project there. the staircase was clad in a white laminate, and that's the laminate that I like to use because it literally just kind of like bounces the light off of it, and it opens up spaces, and even small spaces look quite large when you use that particular laminate. So the staircase was done in the laminate. So that led up to the first floor, which was all done in the same white laminate. All the doors were changed, all the architraves were taken off, the skirting was taken off because it was all kind of like dated, it was all about 20 years old, and a new sort of really contemporary skirting and architrave set was used up there. A lovely door was used. The door that I tend to prefer to use in my developments is a prem door. So it's a prem door, and it's the 4-line horizontal door, because again we wanted to future proof this particular works in case they wanted to let out any of the rooms, or in the future if they wanted to use it as an HMO, or even if they wanted to let it out to a family. We thought, do you know what, let's do everything that they would need to do if they decided to use it as an HMO, even though they are still living there and they still are intending to live there. They don't have any HMO plans, but should they change their mind in the future and they want to let it out as an HMO, then they won't really have to do very much, because the building regs completion certificate actually says it's been done to an HMO standard. So all of the bedroom doors upstairs were changed into fire doors, and they all have like door closers with intermittent strips, all the kind of like stuff that you need to do when you are converting a property into an HMO. All of that was done. Each bedroom had a fixed built-in wardrobe. Oh, honestly, just go to www.propertymoneytree.co.uk/examples to have a look at the photographs of the property. And the bathrooms were done again in a lovely, beautiful contemporary tile, just to make sure again that we were future proofing all of the works that were being done. That property is still going to look contemporary in 5 years' time. And that is what I kind of like try and achieve when I'm doing these things, because there's no point in doing something today that's going to look dated tomorrow. And unfortunately, a lot of people fall into that mistake. They want to refurbish a property, but they go to a local, say for example, tile shop and buy the tile that's been reduced the most. And the tile that's been reduced the most in the local tile shop is the tile that's been in that tile shop for years. So that's a tile of yesterday, not a tile of tomorrow. So sometimes it's worth paying a little bit more in order to future-proof what you are doing in terms of, trying to maximize your property values. Now, if you are only doing your place up in order to sell it immediately, then that might be a different thing altogether. Then you may well be able to get away with it. But if you have like canny buyers looking at your property, they may not be impressed if they think, that you've got a dated tile in the property that you're trying to sell or that they're trying to buy, because they're going to be thinking, we will need to change these tiles within the next 1 or 2 years. How much is it going to cost us to do a new bathroom, to do a new kitchen? And they're already kind of like calculating the costs that they will need to incur going forward. And they're looking at your asking price and perhaps looking to knock off, those costs off of what you're asking. But if you've completely future-proofed your home, they might be thinking, oh, well, maybe we don't like the tiles so much, but we can live with them. We don't like the bathroom so much, but we can live with it. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll change things over in about 5 years' time. So they're not going to be kind of like, putting pressure on your asking price as much as if what you've done, your bathroom looks dated already, even though it's brand new, and your kitchen likewise. So that is something to really kind of like, bear in mind and think about when you are looking to refurbish. So that's what we did upstairs in each of the rooms and the en-suites. But then coming downstairs, we, in the kitchen, used they had a German kitchen installed, which was gorgeous, but very, very simple. I designed the kitchen such that it didn't feel cluttered. The old kitchen was very claustrophobic, and really we wanted to get away from that, because I knew that if they wanted to sell in the future, no buyer would pay good money for that maisonette the way that it was. So there was no point in literally ripping out the old kitchen and putting brand new kitchen cabinets where the old ones had been. So we did a complete change of that kitchen space, and go and look at the pictures. Completely different. This was a relatively simple, I say simple because the footprint of the maisonette was not changed. We didn't extend out and we didn't extend up. All we did was look at what was there within that maisonette, and I just kind of like thought the space there could be used in a much more efficient way, and that just led the design of the whole property. Keying in what was done into the AVM from propertydata.co.uk, it came up with over £1 million valuation at the end of the works. But most importantly, that family are just so pleased with their maisonette, and they're going to enjoy it. They've got no plans to sell it. They've got no plans to let the whole place out. They may let 1 or 2 rooms out, and if they do, again, they're going to get top dollar for those rooms, because for where the property is and for the standard that has been kind of like achieved during the rejig, the refurb, they can actually ask for about £1,200 a month per room. So any which way you look at that, it's a win-win situation for them. So every month I'll probably look at a different way to like enhance values. So like I said, last month I looked at a business proposition of the studio flat into a 1-bed in order to let it out as a landlord. Today I'm talking about this maisonette, which was being done for a family because they wanted to update the maisonette in any event. So it made sense for them to sort of like move out and have any necessary works done that would enable them to enhance the value of their home, which I'm so pleased that it worked out and they've made a paper profit of 6 figures. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, as I've invited people on Instagram, if you've got floor plans, if you are interested in enhancing the value of your property, whether you are a landlord or you're living there or you're thinking of buying somewhere and you think you could do with my expertise, contact me. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope that at the very least you have found the talk thought-provoking. There will be some bonus scenes being released over the next few weeks, so please do come back. If you enjoyed the show, please do subscribe. In any event, please do rate and review the episode, because it would be great to read your feedback. Thank you very much, and hopefully see you next month.